Hello, welcome back to yet another live episode of Green and White Podcast brought to you by Argyle Life. I'm not too sure if we're going to podcast after Wycombe yet because of Joe Bell's absence. A last-minute substitution means I take the hot seat again. But if we don't pod after Wycombe, this will be our last pod of the year. A year that's featured, sort of shoehorning this in just for Dan, but sacking Wayne Rooney on New Year's Eve, beating Brentford and Liverpool in the FA Cup en route to leading Manchester City at the Etihad. New signings Nikola Katic and Maxime Televeirov featuring heavily in those wins, or in those games, shall I say. What else has happened? Because I've stopped writing there. We beat Hull on the final. Was that no? That was last year, wasn't it?
That was 2024. There's two things you've said from 2024.
We didn't stay in the Championship this year. No, we got relegated. Miran Muslic appeared. He did a good speech and got lots of views. What else happened? We hired Thomas Cleverley. And now we are just above the relegation zone in League One after being thumped 4-1 by Reading, which is what we will talk about tonight. A nightmare after Christmas as the Royals deliver a knockout blow on Boxing Day. Joe Rules collecting his Christmas card just 12 minutes in, left Argyle with a mountain to climb. Joining me tonight, Dan Ellard. How's things?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. A little kind of post-Christmas blues, not helped by yesterday, but, on we go.
No, I decided after the 5-1 win, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go. I bought a ticket. I was like, I'm going to go. This is going to be good. And it was good fun until we left the pub. And then we got to Home Park. And I was like,
the way.
I've done this again. I've done it. I've getting the false sense of security. Adam Price, how's things?
Yeah, been worse. And several thousand calories over the last few days, more than would be advisable. But I'm glad I've done it. And the most fun I had was very much on Christmas Day and the first half of Boxing Day. But what can you do?
Actually, I had great fun Christmas Day. Little park run, Central Park, Dan. It's good fun. Sam Dan didn't appear, but oh well.
He didn't. He threatened to, but a bit like tonight, he didn't appear.
No. There is no Sam, so Adam's going to give us a customary post-match run-through, but you're not going to be as in-depth. You're going to keep it nice and short and sweet, aren't you, Adam?
I'll do my best, and I'll try not to give my opinion on things that I will inevitably then give my opinion on a bit later on, just to keep you sticking around. Disaster. I mean, there's no real other way to go about it. As you say, Aaron, within 12 minutes, we had a man sent off, and it only went downhill from there. We'll discuss the merits of the penalty and the red card, I'm sure, but once it's given, it's well taken, but by a player I really rate in Lewis Wing, actually, and we did not learn our lesson from it, because pretty much immediately after that, bit of weak defending from a couple, and Wings popped in a second. And I think I can honestly say that's the last goal of the first half I actually saw, because just a couple of minutes later, I can't recall why I was looking away, probably trying to do literally anything else than watch the football. But as I look up, Doyle's put in a third, and within 20 minutes, we're 3-0 down. And I think everybody at that stage is well within their rights to go home. And I know some did. But those that stayed around tried to rile us up a little bit, tried to get us back into the game. I mean, it wasn't until 44 minutes in we actually had a shot of any kind in the game. So how much effect it had and how much better we were after 3-0 is something we'll debate. But we could have gone in. We're at 3-1 at half-time as a header by Mumba, I think, right on the stroke of it, just wide. And it kind of set the tone, I guess, for the second half, where after Amici came on, it was much improved. We obviously had Amici score a goal that I think the keeper might be a little disappointed not to have saved, to make it 3-1. And at that stage, the momentum's with the 10 men, isn't it? And it could have been 3-2. It could have been 3-2. It wasn't quite to be. Laurent Talai's penalty was, I say the less said, the better. We are absolutely going to talk about Laurent Talai's penalty, I'm sure, within the next hour. So, Yeah, but not his best work, it's fair to say. And from there, stuff is knocked out of us, and Jack Marriott then comes in, as he always does against Argyle. That goal yesterday means that Jack Marriott has more goal involvements against Plymouth Argyle than any team he's ever faced in his career. So I guess we should probably have seen it coming. Yeah, the fourth goes in, and yeah, I think the game's over after the penalty. It's certainly over once that fourth goal goes in, and from that point, yeah, the gaps in home park became very apparent, and I think a few people beat the traffic by staying until the final whistle, just to see them off. But yeah, that's the run through. We're about 6 minutes in, aren't we? So I guess there's unfamiliar territory as we go back to you. But yeah, not our best work, I think, all across, and a few players who, let's say, will be pleased to have just a few days for the opportunity to put it right on Tuesday night, or Monday night, I should say. It's that time of year, isn't it, when no one knows what day it is. But there we are, 4-1 at home. I think if you can say, how can you not be disappointed with a 5-1 away from home as we were the week before? I mean, other way around, isn't it? How can you not be disappointed this time? How can you not be happy? Yeah, I'm doing well. I've overstayed my welcome here. Yeah, anyway, sad day.
No, but it is basically that, isn't it, Dan? It feels like all the positives that we got from the Doncaster win are now just like eradicated. But even though we sort of like, I think we played all right it was just that 10 minutes after the first goal we conceded that just went to pot.
It was quite the capitulation, wasn't it? I was thinking about how to break the game down, and you could almost put it into, I think, kind of four unequal kind of segments. So the first 10 minutes where it was a bit of a nothing game, just both sides settling in, not much to it. That then, obviously, we then had our complete 10-minute meltdown. I wouldn't even say that Reading were amazing. And on the wider point of that, I don't think Reading were particularly good anyway. But in those 10 minutes, they basically had 3 chances and scored 3 goals. One of which obviously was the penalty and the red card for Joe Rawls, which we will definitely get onto, I'm sure, in Ref Watch. After that, Reading went into full-on game management, keep ball mode, put that tempo, how high can you go, how low can you go, right down to the very lowest possible metric, and just had no interest in doing anything other than keeping the ball away from us, which I thought they did quite well for a while. But then I thought from maybe kind of just before half-time, and then for basically the entirety of the second half, Reading were very complacent and very sloppy and not very organised from when it was 3-0. We then got our goal back, and then they really just completely soiled themselves. I think then it kind of set in of like, hang on, we might not actually win this game, having just been cruising around and not really trying for, after about kind of minute 40 onwards. We then could have, as you say, got back into the game. I was saying to my sister, who I went to the game with, even at 3-0, I was like, we could get something here. I don't feel like we're completely out of this, because we kind of built up a little bit of momentum, still had a little bit of confidence from last week, hopefully. And then obviously got that goal back, won the penalty. And you think, we're getting something here. If we get this back to 3-2, we are going to get something out of this game. Obviously, that then didn't happen. And then that really knocked the stuffing out of us. And then the fourth phase of the game, as I put it, was just that kind of nothing phase of, we know we're out of it. They got their fourth, stuffing knocked out of us, job done, But it was a very frustrating afternoon. And I think the as fantastic as Doncaster was, and it was absolutely brilliant, this was pretty much every bit as bad. Again, another capitulation, 3 goals in 8 minutes, more poor individual performances and poor individual mistakes that were made. And which one of these two sides of the coin is the true Argyle? Well, I guess you have to look at the league table and say, over the course of the season, we are where we are. I know you can kind of try and, make it look more positive and say we're only 3 points off 9th, but in reality, we are in 20th place in a very, very poor league. Reading were rubbish yesterday. Like I say, I think they were complacent at 3-0. They weren't organised, didn't actually offer a lot other than smashing those 3 goals in 8 minutes, which is a lot more than we did. But it's very, very frustrating that we're getting teams coming down to home park that aren't that good, and they're turning us over. 3 home wins all season, as someone else put it in the comments there. It's really frustrating. Hopefully, this was the one-off, and we can get back on a run of wins again. Even if that means grinding out some ugly 1-0s again, like we did against Rotherham and Wycombe. But we can't just keep capitulating like this. We've got to, find a bit of strength in adversity, I think, because, as soon as the cards went against us, we went down to 10 men, they went 1-0 up. We were all over the place. And then the game was pretty much, although as it transpired, we nearly got back into it, the game was pretty much gone after that. And it was just about, on to the next one.
Yeah, like Adam, like David Searle says, and Dan's already said about the 3 home wins all season in front of your core fan base is pretty rubbish. And just to Jana saying, it just seems like we just shouldn't play at home on Boxing Day. It's also the second time in a row against Reading in which we've conceded 4, so that's fun. Where was I going with this? Yeah, but as Dan was saying, like the amount of teams that we've played and we've come away going, they're not that good, and they keep turning us over. That seems to be the theme of 2025, doesn't it?
Yeah, and perhaps the reason that we are in contention is that because we've been dreadful far too often. We know that. And I think yesterday was a prime example. We deserved to lose the game in normal circumstances. The fact that we almost got into it was as much from them being terrible as us being a bit improved. I think for the preview of this one, it became very apparent in pretty much every metric you look at that Reading are just about the most middling League One club statistically in the entire league. They ranked about 12th for goals scored, 12th for goals conceded, and I think expected goals, they ranked about 13th or something like that. So this is your bog standard, average League One team. And it's not very good. But we also lost 4-1 to them. To paraphrase a common away end chant, how bad must we be if we're 4-1 down we're going down 4-1 rather to a team like this? And it's not the first example, as Dan has stated. The fact that we are 3 points off 9th place is because there's so many teams in this league who are plodding along, not really got any quality at all, and we should be beating them. And not only are we not beating them, we're going down severely. And I think to bring it back to an example of a moment we've spoken about, I wonder if this may be an example of just what Plymouth Argyle are like when Lawrence Alli doesn't play well. Because I've mentioned there's so many teams in this league who don't have quality, don't have the individuals that you think can take a game by a scruff of the neck, make it exciting. So Alli is very much obviously one of those. But yesterday he was nowhere really. The penalty's an example, but he's I think won 4 duels from 13, which is not nearly enough for a player of his quality. And when he's not in the game,
in those duels as well, like we've seen all season, him win.
Absolutely, most. Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that he's having an off day, it happens. It happens. Players have off days, but when a player that key has an off day, you apparently seem to get turned over by a really bang average League One team. We did the review of 2025, we brushed through a review of 2025. I just look back to how we started it, when we seemed to have that fight in our team. The first game we had in 2025, we scored the last minute equaliser. The first away game, we get a brilliant draw away from home that really, is something that we couldn't possibly have done beforehand. And we come out of it and just like, we're now being battered at home by average League One clubs. It doesn't particularly look like we have any fight at all. Yes, we had an improved second half, but that 10-minute spell, that wouldn't have happened at the start of the year. What is going on for that to be the case? And for it to be happening against these teams, it beggars belief at times. It really does.
Let's go through the game chronologically then. Obviously, it starts with the Joe Rules red card. Dan, thoughts on it? You seem to like polarize the group chat and you go the other way most of the time to the consensus. So it's a red though, isn't it?
The contrarian take, yeah, something like that. I said at the time, I don't see how anyone's going to be able to argue with that, but I'm sure some people will try. And then that was followed by various people sitting behind me in block 19 who did exactly that and moan at the ref about that decision for just the rest of the game. Having seen it back again, I haven't changed my mind. It was Stonewall. It was Stonewall. Rawls is the wrong side of him. The guy is 4 yards out, about to put. He's got half an empty goal, I suppose. But if that's not clear goal scoring opportunity, I don't know what is. And Rawls hasn't played the ball. He's hauled him down. It's an indisputable penalty, and because he hasn't played the ball, it's a red. I don't see how that can be argued. I know Tom Cleverley mentioned that he thought the ref was very quick to get his red card out. I get that. Give yourself a bit of thinking time. But, can we really criticize him for that when he's come to the right decision? I don't think so. If he'd celebrity refed it and rushed straight in and made the wrong decision, then fair enough. That's a fair criticism. But it's not one that can really be argued. I think, if we were daft enough to try and appeal it, I think that would get thrown out. It's one of those things. And in that moment, in that split second, I get why in desperation you would try and do that. In hindsight, you go, well, Brawl should probably have just let him go and let him score, and then at least it's 1-0 down and 11v11, right? That's better than 1-0 down and 10v11. But I get in that moment why you instinctively try and do what you can to stop someone from scoring when you've got into that bad position. So I don't think it can be argued, but based on various comments that I heard and outraged fans and people saying 4-1 to the referee, I've never ever heard a set of fans do that before, but there we go. I don't think it can be argued.
Yeah, like a 1-0. If it finished 1-0, you could argue that the chant makes a lot more sense than a 4.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That's class. I love that. Adam, discipline's a huge issue, isn't it? It's not just. It seems to be like a different player sent off every time. Like we're top of the. Is no one specific. We're top of the cards table in League One. We're top of the most penalties given away league table, if that's such a thing. We top the list on everything. Just discipline is just huge.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of hallmarks actually of 17-18 when we had that dreadful run at the start, and it did seem like we were having a different player sent off everyone. I think we had 6 red cards before Christmas or something like that, and whilst we're not quite there, I don't think we're pretty close. I mean, it's clearly impacting us, and there are some you can look at and go, that is demonstrably stupid. To lie against Northampton, that red card should not be happening. That's something to completely bring on yourself. This one, it's a little more forgivable, as I think Dan has well covered. In the moment, I can understand why he's done it. He shouldn't do, but it's instinctive to try and stop your teams conceding a goal, which I guess is nice to see in a way. But yeah, he shouldn't have done it. And it's possibly one of those where it's, how can I put it, goes against rules in the sense that, oh, well, at least he's brought experience in. I don't think the fact that Rawls has experienced is the reason I'm so glad he signed. It's the fact that he's good. It's the fact that I'm glad he's in. And, I suspect we will see him again. There's been a few going around on various social media today. I'm virtually certain it's a 1-game ban for denying a goal scoring opportunity, rather than the 3 that you'd get for a violent conduct or serious foul or whatever it is, red card. So we should be seeing him again, depending on when in January his contract's up. But yeah, he's one of many examples of ill discipline in this side. It's just another thing that's not helping us. It's very much a symptom rather than the cause. I don't necessarily think we're bad because we're all disciplined. I think we're all disciplined because we get ourselves into these situations so often, and it leads itself to having to give away a foul or give away a yellow card, a red card, what have you. And by the way, just to be clear, I do absolutely agree with what Dan's mentioned, that it is a red card. I don't think it can be argued against. I think there's been a few comments that I've seen where it seems a bit unfair that the foul on Mumba for the penalty got nothing, but the foul by Rawls got a red card. And I have sympathy with it, but those are the laws of the game. Ultimately, that is how a referee has to judge it. And I'm certainly not going to criticize the guy for making the correct decision too quickly or anything like that. So yeah, obvious red card, obvious penalty, and it's just the latest in a long line of examples where the discipline isn't there. But it's very easy, I guess, for me or us to point out that the discipline isn't there. It's the job of a great coach to say, well, how do you fix that? How do you instill that discipline in your team? Because I've no doubt that Cleverley's been trying, but you can't just go in and say be more disciplined. That clearly hasn't worked. So what can we do to get that? I mean, it's probably going to be a case of the more we dominate games, the less likely we are to give away yellow and red cards. But that's another issue entirely. So it's just another thing that's not particularly nice. Is it the reason we're doing badly? I mean, I guess it's not helpful, but I think we're already doing badly long before we're giving away these fouls and these cards. And it's if the root cause gets fixed, this gets fixed. Is the root cause going to be fixed? It's not looking great, is it?
Well, of course, another thing that we had was even before the Rawls red card in this game was some awful challenge by Sorinola where he came flying in at their guy on the right wing, not suggesting it should have been a red or anything like that, but it was blatant yellow. And to be fair to the referee, how often do you see those kind of let go early in the game? Oh, it's still early, I'll let you off type thing. But actually, I think, again, letter of the law, that's obviously a yellow card and it was correctly given. And obviously then Sorinola was walking on a bit of a tightrope for the rest of the game and didn't want to get involved. Even some of their players, I remember one point when, blimey, one of their players went down. I think I'd give it a 9.8 if I was a diving judge, but, went near Sorinola and chucked himself to the ground to try and get Sorinola sent off, basically. Thankfully, the ref wasn't having any of it. But like you say, wider point, literally, I think it was 5 minutes into the game, Sorinola makes that challenge and then tightrope for the rest of the game. It's just silly. As you said, there's that line between, I know he doesn't want us to be a soft touch and just roll over and all that stuff and, and try and make us determined and resolute and all that stuff. There's a line between that and just being over the top and committing silly fouls and giving away stupid bookings and getting sent off. We clearly haven't found, given, as you say, by the number of cards we have been given this season, we haven't got that balance right yet.
Yeah, whilst we're talking about experience, I know Cleverley mentioned it in his post-match. Obviously we lost Joe Rawls, who is arguably the most experienced, if not Joe Edwards, the two Joes. 6-minute collapse, 3-0 down within 20 minutes. Lewis Wings double and, God, I can't remember the other geezer that scored.
Doyle, not Kevin Doyle.
No, not that one. The other
but
Doyle.
He could have yesterday if he played.
Was probably. It's just experience is lacking, isn't it? Like there's something that we need to approach in the January window is to get some knowledge back in that side.
We do and we don't, because we just need better footballers. Is my honest view. Yes, I mean, we can't just go into these spells. That obviously should not be allowed to happen. But Joe Edwards is on the pitch while that's happening, and we're all Joe Edwards fans. He's got a wealth of experience. He couldn't stop it happening. I know I use it as a joke, but we had a vastly experienced centre back from Iceland who was hounded out of the club because he wasn't good enough as a footballer. I don't. If we bring in,
sorry, what? Go back. What do you mean? Why was he not good enough?
Because people alleged he wasn't good enough as a footballer. Sorry, yes, no, I should clarify.
You won't find me agreeing with that.
Very glad you gave me the opportunity. But if we sign 2 18-year-old centre backs and they're excellent, fine. I just think we're lacking. Do I want experience if it's in addition to being a good footballer? Yeah, sure. That's what's made the Rawls signing so particularly impressive, because he's got the ability and the experience. But given the choice of the two, I just want ability in this team now. I just want us to sign good footballers in January. We've shown we can do it. Talai's an excellent footballer, but have we got? Are we going to get enough? I look forward to. Do I look forward to finding out? I've got a transfer centre to update for a month. We'll see. I'll get back to you on that one. Yeah, experience is nice. ability better.
Dan Aseni came off for Weirdo. Would you have made any different change? I know Sam was really wanting Law McCabe. I know, and actually, whilst we're on Sam, a few people are asking where he is. Steve said, has Sam and Aaron recovered from their hedge escape? Yeah, we were going to go to the Tavs after the game, and Sam was adamant that it was still in the goals car park. It isn't. We were in the goals car park and the gate was locked. So Sam had the idea of jumping the hedge, to which he got caught in barbed wire, and then some Argyle fans came to our rescue to.
Wait, so is
to
he
help
still
us
there? Is that why he's not on?
Yeah.
Should someone go and rescue him?
No.
Okay.
He's fine where he is.
He's wired.
Yeah, that's why. If anybody saw Sam jumping the hedge at goals yesterday, that's why. Tavs is not in goals car park. Where is it, Adam? Is it back in the behind the
It's
fans?
back where it always used to be. Yeah, like that. We've got a marquee now, a much nicer marquee than it was 10 years ago. So that's nice. But I know that hasn't answered your question. No, it is behind the fan zone, behind the new Mayflower and close to the away end.
I need to get there. Does it still have the old scarves and stuff that were donated during the admin?
Yeah, scarves and shirts. Don't forget the shirts. So yeah, all there. And yeah, I think it's a bit of a tangent, isn't it? But the bar's also improved in the last 10 years as well. So yeah, you can go in and take your fancy of what's on offer.
You still get a pasty and a pint for a $5 with entertainment.
No, but equally, yeah. Rick and Dave. Yeah, Rick's not been back for a while. Dave is, I regret to say, in ill health. So hopefully, we send him our best wishes. But yeah, the £5 for the pasty and the pint is no more. But you do pay an annual membership now, and it probably levels out, doesn't it? Does it? Probably.
Anyway, Dan, Aseni for Weirdo.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you repeated that because I'd genuinely forgotten what your question was. I wouldn't have made that sub at all. I think that we could perhaps have just kind of moved Belarus inside. It would have been a bit of a kind of ugly 4-3-2 formation because Mumba would have, isn't quite a centre mid, so it would have been a bit kind of lopsided. But I think in such a long ball style game, as is one that we generally play, because generally we do not play out from the back unless opposition teams let us. We're not good enough to play through a high press. Therefore, we go long a lot of the time. Having those two focal points up front is really important. And that's been a key part to our success, especially at Doncaster away. Therefore, I think it would have been a better move to make. But I do get why he would have wanted, we know that Talai is good enough to play up front on his own if we need him to. 4-4-1 would just make us more solid. And I know Sam can bang on about McCabe, but as it transpired, Weirdo came on and did very, very well. I thought, another example of why on earth have we wasted this guy playing him at centre-back for months and months. I know he was a bit shaky at the start of the season in centre-mid. So was the whole team. We were losing literally every single game. Now that we are at least competing a bit more in this league, it makes sense to me that Weirdo gets more time in centre mid and he's moved back there permanently, even to the point where I know some people seem quite impressed with Boateng yesterday. His assist for the goal was excellent, don't get me wrong. One really good bit of play in the second half. That side, I thought he was pretty ordinary again. I would be considering, especially with the fresh legs and lots of games coming up, making that swap Weirdo for Boateng. So in summary,
so just really quickly whilst you're on Boateng, I was a big fan when we first signed him, and we saw like glimpses, and I was a big fan. The start of the season, I was like, there's something there. Just to stick with it. He had a few good games in which he looked great, but I agree, he's like gone off the boil slightly, isn't he? It's like he's almost like the Darko JB of last season, in which he thinks his place is assured. So it's like
possibly. Yeah, possibly. I mean, I just think maybe he's been kind of living off that Blackpool goal for too long, which again was absolutely fantastic. Yeah. He does have really, really good moments and moments of like, wow, this, that's real kind of quality in there. But just in your kind of bread and butter, I'm sure Adam will now come up with some pass completion rate stats, which will kind of completely debunk this. But to me, the eye test suggests that he's just not a very good passer of the football. And as a central midfielder, but you just can't. You've got to have a certain level of being able to pass a football, unless you are a complete, like Jan Songo type. And I think we've moved on from that kind of ability of ball-winning midfielder. You need to have more about you, especially in league where we want to be pushing on and being at the higher end of that league. He just, his passing frustrates the hell out of me. There was one opportunity yesterday, could have played a through ball through. I think it was Mumba that made a run across the defender into the right channel, just passed it to the centre back basically. And it's infuriating moments like that make me think, he doesn't do it often enough for a centre mid. So I want to see more from him basically. But with Weirdo coming back in, hopefully, as you say, Aaron, his place will be a bit less secure, and that will hopefully maybe push him on again.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Just to say that I have not looked at the
here we
stats for
go.
a couple of weeks. No. Last time I looked at it, they actually back up your view rather than dispute it.
Right. Okay.
What I'm saying. So just blowing your trumpet there. You're welcome.
That's a relief.
Love that.
Well, it's not, because I hope they'll be better, but you know what I
mean. Adam, one change at half time. Xavier Amici coming on for Belarus. Back-to-back goals now for Zav. Look, we're on like nickname terms. Sure. An excellent finish, to be fair. I thought. I've not watched it back. It might have been terrible, but live, I thought it was excellent. It's just good to have a player of his ability back as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And this is my main positive actually from yesterday, which I guess is not a particularly high bar to clear considering the number of negatives, but he's got a lot of ability about him, and he always has. He had a shaky start, but as I think I mentioned in the last podcast, even in that time, when it wasn't quite working out for him, he still managed to get himself on the score sheet at Lincoln. He's still at that stage topping, I think, or at least in the top 2 in the league for chances created. He's a strong player, and I think from what we saw in the second half yesterday, he has to start on Tuesday at this point, because we just look so much better with him on the pitch. I think of the 2 reasons why it looked like we were at least a little bit better in the second half, one was, as we've discussed, Reading dropping off and panicking, and the other was having Xavier Amici on the field. I don't even necessarily think it's his goal that impressed me the most. It's a good finish. It's a powerful strike. But if it's the other way around, I'm expecting the keeper to save it. So it's one of those, I guess. But I think even in the fact that he was lively, he was getting crosses in and to put them under pressure, despite the fact that we had the 10 men. His influence was very good, very strong. I still have a few reservations about exactly how he can fit into this, and I still don't necessarily think like bringing him on the right, for example, in a 4-4-2 suits him best, because obviously his best work was the goal that was on his left foot. I maintain he is very left-footed, although he's clearly been working on it. As Graham mentioned, that his goal against Doncaster was on his right foot, and there's a few moments there as well. A bit of work to do, but he's getting there. But I think in the main, this is the second week in a row where I've come out of a game that's had vastly different emotions, but still had the one consistent of, I think Amici's really impressed from the bench there. I think he's one of our most talented players when he's fully fit. And if we can fit a way to get him into the team, or anyone can find a way to get him into the team, they will benefit from it. I think Tuesday's a natural place to have him start a game, and we'll see where we go. But I like what I see.
Yeah, I think also like getting Jack McKenzie back, a proper left back, and also getting Caleb Watts back in that team. Suddenly, I feel like we look a lot better.
We do. I mean, I feel like this is about we've played 22 games this season now, and this may be the 22nd occasion where we've said, just get a few of the injuries back, and then they come back and they either go again or someone else gets injured. We've clearly not got on top of that, have we? I think as an example, missed Pleguezuelo a lot yesterday, and who knows when we'll see him again. But yeah, I mean, we might have a clean bill of health one day. Might not be around for it, but one day.
Most probably be the final game of the season, like just after full whistle goes, and it's like, by the way, everybody's fit again now for pre-season, ahead of our League 2 truck. Where are we going with that? The only other thing I was going to say is, Bali Mumba predominantly right-footed on the left, and then Xavier Amici predominantly left-footed on the right. I just really don't like, like a 4-4-2. I just really don't like inverting the wingers that way. I don't know how you feel about that.
It makes us really narrow, doesn't it? Because unless you've got a kind of fullback absolutely bombing on and creating that natural width, and obviously they've got to then get back, it does make us just incredibly narrow. And I get it in terms of creating overload centrally, and teams want to kind of show you down the wing, so try and have that strength of cutting inside. But yeah, you do wonder whether, say, if we played Mumba on the right and Amici on the left, and then their natural kind of instinct would be to, show them down the line, but then that would be showing them onto their strong foot. It might work.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Anything to add there, Adam? You seem like you wanted to answer that one as well.
Yeah, agree. Generally, I think there is absolutely a method in football of getting those inverted players in your team. I just don't necessarily think this is it, because as Dan's mentioned, it makes us really narrow. It puts a lot of pressure on the fullbacks, one of whom is in his mid-30s and the other of whom is playing on his wrong side at the moment. So there's just too much pressure, I think. And yesterday's obviously an extreme example because we played most of the game a man down. But yeah, I mean, taking yesterday out of it, it's indisputable that we've been better and got better results playing 4-4-2. Long term, it just doesn't feel the way to get all of our best players in the team successfully. Now, who our best players are and who's available may change week on week, depending on injuries. I mean, it's obviously the January transfer window very soon. But yeah, it's a tricky one to resolve. Again, it's very easy for me to sit here and say, I think this is a problem. How do you resolve it? There's probably a number of steps you have to take. But just in principle, I'm with the pair of you, to be honest, that having a right footer on the left midfield, a right footer on right midfield, and only having two central midfielders, it creates overloads when out of possession that I don't like.
Especially when we've only got 10, right? Like,
also true.
Yeah. For that and whatever. So it's kind of hard. Donna says, I'm trying to be positive. Yes, we had a mare of 20 minutes. But then for a large part of the game, we played well. If Talai hadn't screwed up that penalty, we had 15 minutes to claw it back. Yeah, not the best penalty in the world, is it, Adam? I think Tom Cleverly said that Talai tried a curled effort down the middle that he connected wrong with. Can you just explain how you curl an effort down the middle?
No, I can. Although I've got the lowest footballing ability of the group, so I might not be the best person to ask. But no, I mean, it's clearly Panenka did it, hasn't it? And it's gone wrong. It happens. I think it's another example of the off day that he had. It's a cliche, but when they come off, they look delightful, and they don't. You look at a bit of an idiot. And yesterday, Talai looked a little bit of an idiot with the way he took it. It's not an unreasonable way to take a penalty, considering he's already scored one this season. Yeah. And it's
similar to how he took the Doncaster one that's like slightly off the floor and like to one side, but just didn't hit it hard enough.
Yeah, it's I find that it's actually very different to his Doncaster one, if that helps, Aaron.
Right.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if we want to spend any more time disagreeing.
Well, I went back to watch his Doncaster.
The Doncaster one went in.
Well, there is that. But in my head, the Doncaster one was like top corner, just absolutely rifled it, and it isn't. It's the same, but just the other side, just hit harder, much harder.
Oh, not Panenka down the middle is what we're saying.
No, but this one wasn't down the middle either.
Oh, it basically was, wasn't it? It's I don't know. Anyway, it didn't go in. We can discuss that for days. It's it not the stuffing out of us at the time. But if we get something out of the game, which I still think is unlikely if the penalty comes in. I mean, we may ride that momentum and get another goal, but if we do, it's totally undeserved. It would be very much the Preston North End 3-3 draw at home of Tom Cleverley's reign if we do get back into that game. Yeah. So positives we can see, but as I say, we're 3-0 down, and it took until the 44th minute for us to have a shot. I mean, says it all, really. We can grasp for positives as I have with Amici, but there's not many of them.
No, I think Dan, like Gaza said, it's not often that I agree with Gaza, but I do here. He said we flattered to deceive because Reading took their foot off the gas. We're just trying to manage the game out. You've already said like they didn't look that good, and I felt like Tulai scores that, and Home Park, even half empty at this point, would be rocking. And I just felt like we could have just sneaked something. Like a lot was riding on that pen.
I think it was highly possible. Like you say, the whole feeling, those kind of intangibles that you get of like, the crowd getting up. And again, as they have done all season, even the kind of smallest moments, like Talai winning a throw-in deep in their territory late on in the first half, and then again, obviously getting the goal back. It was, the atmosphere was pretty good, I thought, considering that we were 3-0 down and then 3-1 down. Had we got that goal back, I get it. The statistics say that, when you're 3-2 down and a man down with 25 minutes to go, it's unlikely that you get something out of the game. More often than not, you don't. But again, those intangibles, momentum, crowd behind us, I think we could well have done. And as I said, Reading were really, really panicking at that point. It seemed they were really, really complacent at 3-0. And then we got a goal back and it was like, hang on, all of a sudden they just panicked, and then they started putting a few naughty fouls on us. Then they did the almost, cliched, so boring it's predictable now. Plymouth are getting a bit of momentum here. Right, man goes down injured, physios come on, everyone goes over to the bench for a nice, couple-minute break, tactical reorganisation, and then that guy gets subbed off so that he doesn't have to have 30 seconds off the pitch. It's just something's got to be done about that. It's so predictable.
I like to call that the Connor Hazard.
Well, this is it. I mean, they could pull it even further and just like their keeper could go down injured, and then obviously he doesn't have to go off for 30 seconds. But when the guy's getting subbed off anyway, it's just fascinating that everyone gets injured just before they're going to get subbed off. It's so infuriating. But
I do wonder how much of an advantage that would be, considering the man they had to go over and talk to was total fraud Leam Richardson. So if anything, that could have helped us.
One wonders, yeah.
Just looking, of all the people in the group chat, you two would most probably be the first people I ask. Their keeper, Pereira, that's not the same one that was at Wigan when they won the FA Cup, is it?
No, that was Robles, wasn't it? Same first name, but yeah.
They were both at Everton at one point, weren't they? Pereira and Robles. Don't matter. Anyway, moving on.
Go with that.
Anything to add on the game specifically from either of you?
Don't think so.
No,
good.
Right. The accounts are out, and Dan, I'm going to come to you as an accountant. I'm going to be honest. It's been Christmas. I've not read Plymouth Argyle Football Club's accounts. I don't know if you have either. So, any surprises?
I have read a brief summary, and I feel obliged to mention, although I'm very sorry, because guess what? It's like we need like the Rooney klaxon or something like that. I saw a thing came in about how apparently he didn't waive his compensation, so we did have to pay him off. Maybe not such the wonderful heroic man that some people thought he was. Anyway, obviously the kind of main headline is the fact that Simon Hallett is having to put a lot of money into the club to keep us afloat, as he kind of said at the recent fans forum, which can be interpreted two ways, I think. Some people are saying, "Oh, what a fantastic owner we have! Isn't it amazing that he's kind of giving up all his personal money to do this?" I don't quite buy that, to be honest. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the money he's putting in, either you're looking at it as he's putting money in as an investment, which is absolutely fine, by the way. I have no issue with that, but it's just more the fact that people seem to think, oh, this wonderful man's just donating money to the club. No, of course he's not. He's an investment, that's fine. And you want a return on that investment. That's how business works. But also, I get it with the vast majority of football clubs, pretty much all of them. They're not profitable businesses. Football's nonsense. It's loss making. And at the top of that, you have an owner who normally has to put money in to cover those losses. For example, Sheffield Wednesday for years had to rely on Chansiri putting loads of money into the club to fund losses caused not fully, but mostly by his own bad decisions. And one could argue, this is an extreme opinion perhaps, but that Simon Hallett is having to put his own money in to cover losses caused by his own bad decisions in the most part. It's not, I appreciate this, he wants to get to the idea of sustainability and a sustainable football club. We're clearly very much not there at the minute with the amount of money he's had to put in. At some point, he's going to want to stop doing that, which of course I get, because, it becomes, at this point, it's not so much an investment, it's just plugging that gap, that cash flow gap, which we've clearly got. What happens further down the road? It's a lot of uncertainty, I think, and the fact that we have dropped like a stone through the Football League from being mid-table in the Championship to right at the bottom of League One in a couple of years has clearly hit the finances. We have managed through Simon putting his own money in and transfer fees received. We did well off the back of Whittaker, got a profit on Cooper, Gibson, etc. But as I've said before, when we run out of players to make money on, which it looks like, apart from Talai, we're going to be struggling with this squad because, we haven't recruited well, then what? Or if Simon goes, I don't want to put any more money in, then what? So it's a bit of a precarious situation. And as I forget the word that Paul Byrne used in the fans forum, but I think he said that the finances are, it was, worrying, or it was something like, it was quite a kind of dramatic word to use about the finances, which was like, we are not in a great position here. So yeah, that's a worrying thing to hear. I think Simon, as he said before, wants us to be sustainable. And I think, as with a lot of things that he's done, he likes the idea of it. He likes the idea of us becoming a sustainable club. But when it comes to actually implementing that, he's not got it right. And
it's a lot harder to do, right? That goes, other football clubs would have done it. And it seems like every single football club in the 92 is, like you said, plugging gaps from their own.
Yeah.
Whether that's, I can't even remember what he's called, Matey Boy at Accrington, right the way up to, Sheikh Mansour at Manchester City, right? It's just always the way. It's just doesn't seem to be a thing we can actually reach. But I suppose when sustainability was like our main priority throughout his whole tenure, like to read, I've only seen like headlines. I've not actually read the accounts or like properly looked into it. I've only saw the headline of the £10 million loaned Adam. It's quite surprising that number is so high when the whole club ethos is about being sustainable, right?
It is, and it is worrying. Whether that was the word he used or not, it is, because
the word is perilous. I've just been informed by text.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Sam.
Okay. Right. Well, yeah. I mean, that's not a positive adjective either, is it? So yeah, it's really a concern and really alarming that it's happening at a time where we're as bad as we are. Okay, I am, full disclosure, not an accountant. But I tend to find that when owners have to pump money into a club and when they have to, cover these losses, it's because they've overspent in getting goods, and we're spending. Our black hole is bigger than ever, and bigger than it has been for years, and we've got worse in doing it. I mean, something very obviously has gone wrong at that stage. And yes, I mean, again, will never claim and have never claimed that Simon Hallett's heart is in the wrong place. I do genuinely believe he, as an Argyle supporter, wants the best for the football club. It's just becoming very apparent that the definition of best for the football club differs depending on who you ask. I don't think he came into this ever expecting that he'd be having to cover these losses. And I think, he has to take some personal responsibility for the losses that he's had to cover because of his own poor decision making. But it's just really sad in a lot of ways that it's come to this. And again, I look back often to that Port Vale game where we won the title and he's walking out onto the pitch with the trophy. In unison that away end, there's only one Simon Hallett. He couldn't have had any more support at that stage. And it's sad that it's gone so wrong and it's reached this stage where we have to question, based on his bizarre decision making since then, whether he's got the best interests of the club at heart. And I believe he does. I've always said Simon Hallett loves Plymouth Argyle. I just occasionally have to question whether he loves the idea of himself a little bit more. And by some decisions were made, you know, as Dan mentioned, he likes the idea of things. He likes the idea of being the guy to make Wayne Rooney successful. He likes the idea of making all of the pundits and the critics, and indeed ourselves, shut up by Tom cleverly becoming successful when we were all calling for him to go. But it's just not happening at this stage, and it's resulted in this precarious mess that we find ourselves at the minute. So I don't know. It's a triple whammy then when you consider that it's more expensive for ourselves to follow Argyle than it's ever been. We've got so much worse over the last 2 years. It's got so much more expensive, and the deficit in our finances has got bigger. I don't know. Ants on a postcard. Something clearly doesn't add up there, and I'm not looking forward to seeing where it ends up. Let's say I'm very curious to see where it ends up, because the situation right now is clearly not very good. And it's another thing, and I'm going to use the line again of how do you fix it? Well, that's for someone whose pay grade is far beyond mine. But we'll see, because right now it's precarious, it's worrying, and it's a mess.
Yeah, I suppose that the other side of that is, as you've both sort of said, is that it's good that he can fund those bad decisions, right? There are owners out there that can't do that and make bad decisions. And then Steve Dale comes to mind. Anyway, on to 2025 recap, not 2024. So let's not talk about beating Hull or Wayne Rooney. Dan, what was your? I've changed the running order slightly that I sent you, but I just want to know your home game of the year. We'll go through like mini quick awards, and we'll just give one each. I've given you like the easy answer there, haven't I?
Yeah, well, I don't know. My home game of the year, I will go slightly contrarian, as you say I do in the group chat, because I didn't actually attend the Liverpool game. I watched that on telly for my sins. But I went to the Millwall game, which was not long after that, which we won 5-1. And I think that was a fantastic performance and a great evening, and really kind of sensed that we were building a bit of momentum towards we could actually stay up here. Muslich could do it. Yeah, there was that real kind of wave of positivity after that game. And it was just brilliant to see us scoring goals and hammering a team, having spent the first half of that season being on the receiving end of a lot of hammering. So yeah, I'll let Adam take the obvious answer there and say, yeah, of the ones I attended, Millwall for me.
Nice. We're going clockwise, so actually I get the easy one.
Oh, okay.
Adam has a better memory than me, because for me it's without doubt, obviously Liverpool at home. It just does not really get better than that. I mean, apart from Brentford away, but that was not at home. Yeah, I think it's Liverpool at home for me. Sam has an embarrassing photo of me actually crying at full time, because I predicted the 1-0. I bet on the 1-0. I said on Pieface's vlog it'd be 1-0. I have proof that I believed in this squad back then, less so now. And just a fantastic day in front of the what were we on? ITV cameras? I don't know.
It was ITV. It was
an excellent day at Home Park. One that will go down in the annals of history. Yeah, Adam, home game of the year.
It's that one, but because it's been taken, I'm going to put a vote out there for the Sheffield United game, where we turned it around late on, having been 1 down. If anything, I think actually the things I enjoyed the most from that, aside from an incredible winning goal by Tijani, which is an unbelievable finish, all happened after the final whistle. A was the goosebump moment, actually, of Miron Muslich going around fist to the crowd, we can do this, we can do this. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't believe before, but I think even I do now, we can do this. I mean, this man has got to be. in the other dugout, in the opposite side, their manager made a disgrace of himself, and it was hilarious. In the way that Chris Wilder chased in to start a rumble in the tunnel, of which his club got a serious fine for, and made me root against Sheffield United in the playoffs, in spite of the fact that them winning them would have made Plymouth Argyle £1 million. The face of him at Wembley having not gone up after that was worth 10 times more to me than a 1 million figure that Plymouth Argyle would have wasted. So it's the Liverpool game for the reasons Aaron's mentioned and more. But that day against Sheffield United was very, very fun.
Go on then, Adam. You can also take the away game of the year. You can go first.
I mean, I'm going to pick the one of the two that we won, albeit the day out in Manchester was excellent. For reasons I think we've discussed before in various guises, and for various reasons, the Brentford game was just a remarkable occasion in so many ways. On a personal level, I got to the ground for an away game perhaps later than I ever have done after overstaying my time in a pub. So I was already having a wonderful afternoon. Came in to see the away end, which has of course been sold out, was in full voice, and I saw at the start of the game that Victor Paulson was lining up in a back three. So from there, you just know things are going to be good from there. But yeah, having been through the mad week that we just had in the build up to the game, the fact that we'd not won away all season, and we were going to a team who had at the time one of the best home records, not just in the country but in Europe, and to beat them in such a fashion, yeah, wonderful. I there's going to be occasions and potentially personal reasons for away days, if you like, being better than that. But from my end, I think it's incredibly difficult to look past.
Dan, you take the other one.
Well, do you want to take Man City, or because you can have Man City, because I'll mention another one then, which is actually a slightly random one, but because I haven't done that many aways this year, unfortunately. But the week before Brentford, we went to Stoke, and for various reasons, despite the fact that it was only 0-0, and normally when you go to a game and it finishes 0-0, you're a bit like, oh well, that was a bit of a waste of time. But it was just really, really funny because it was Stoke's annual family fans discounted tickets day. So, as you'd expect, the Bet365 was absolutely jam-packed, about 50% full, but more full than it normally is. Basically, having obviously kind of created this, had a bit of a rivalry with them with the whole Schumacher thing, and then they pumped us back in 2024, which put us closer to the relegation line. We just went there and completely rattled their cages. It was a horrible game to watch. Basically, we just farted around with it, wasted time wherever possible. Connor Hazard got a yellow card for time wasting in the first half. And we didn't create a lot ourselves, but we came away with a 0-0 draw. And the wider point is that, that showed that fight that we had been lacking so much. And again, in the first half of that season, we really showed some fight, and that we weren't just going to roll over and get relegated and it was too late. We really were up for this, and we were going to give this a good go, as we did give it a pretty good go. Just very funny, rattling their cages, because, they're a charming lot, as we've found to know.
Yeah, class. I was actually going to go for the 2-1 away win at Portsmouth with Hardy and Bundu scoring, because I thought you were.
Oh, do you want me to revise mine to Man City then?
No, I was going to do that on
Man City.
Take Man City. And then I was thinking, obviously, the 5-1 win at Doncaster has to take, it has to be mentioned, but without doubt, yeah. I mean, my actual away day of the year is Brentford, because as Adam's already said, we went there without a hope in hell's chance. An awful away record against the best home record in Europe, and it just, a Kevin Nanskiville and Joe Edwards masterclass with a back three, including Victor Paulson. I'm just going to get that out there again. It has to be mentioned. Caleb Roberts having an absolute storm in the middle as well. Just an incredible day, and everybody knows not to show Morgan Whitaker onto his left, but anyway, I suppose I'll just have to nominate, going 1-0 up against Pep Guardiola's Manchester City at the Etihad, and was just mental that was this year. Maxim Telavierov. Yeah, the only Ukrainian ever to play for Argyle, and he's left a legacy there, and I can't wait to tweet that out on the where I don't even remember the date, sometime in February, wasn't it? Every year just for likes, and I can't wait. Should we go the most Argyle moment of 2025, Dan?
Oh, blimey, you put me on the spot now. The most, I mean, you haven't, because you WhatsApp me these about an hour before we went live, and I didn't look at them. So you have put me on the spot. The most Argyle moment of 2025. It would probably have to be, the one that comes to mind anyway, would be all that pre-season optimism. You know, this is it. We're going to make a good fist of going for promotion. We've got a top 6 budget. Let's do this. Here we go. Opening day of the season. And then we go behind to Brendan Weirdo kicking the ball into his own net, like kind of not even just kind of side footing it in the completely the wrong direction to where he meant it to go, and it going into her own net. You could perhaps go, maybe Ashby Hammond kicking it into his own net in pre-season might be up there as well. Yeah, I'll go with that one.
Yeah, I was going to go for Luca Ashby Hammond, his own goal as a trialist in Austria, and then us signing him afterwards. That's what I was going for. Another one off the top of my head. I don't know. Adam?
I'm going to cheat a little bit and mention 2, but you'll see why, because they both come in a very similar fashion. It was the selling of Ryan Hardy and Adam Randall for about 3 times below their market value. The fact that we are supposed to have come on so far as a football club, no longer the same old Argyle, and we've put the most ridiculous clauses in a contract that I've possibly ever seen.
Adam, we had to put those clauses in, otherwise they never would have signed it.
No, of course, yeah. I mean, you know, the amount of arguments we've had there. I think that one's just about up there with nobody could do better than Wayne Rooney with this group of players. But yeah, we've had a lot of fun. The fact that I think we found out about Randall. I say we, it would be myself, Sam and John, I want to say at that point, with Stan joining us a little bit later on, just after the filming of 2 games in the TalkSport Cup, which we had won both of, thank you, and ended up just finding out, I think, just out of a pub on the way to the Oval Cricket Ground, that we'd sold Adam Randall for a 6-figure sum. It's so depressing that we found ourselves back on that track again of Plymouth discounts and what we always told ourselves that we changed, and we never changed, and this has happened again, and we were in such a good mood. And yeah, you know, perhaps we should have seen it as a sign of things to come in the direction we were heading in. But those transfers happening that summer with the clauses that were in the contracts it's so Argyle, and I don't think I can beat it.
Just before you say your second one, Adam, I think my... Oh, are they your 2?
To be clear, yeah, the selling of Hardy was number 1 and Randall number 2. So yeah, I'm done.
My most Argyle moment of 2025 has to be Miron Muslic just left the club for a Sry Bundesliga side. Just one of the biggest German sides ever, one of the biggest European clubs to exist, and we just belittled them in a way that was so reminiscent of the Rick Cowdery admin days. It's fantastic. That's just excellent. That's just funny. I love that. And Mustafa Bundu also upping and leaving for the same league. Us signing Savio Amici and Bradley Ibrahim, who have both applied their trade in the same league. Yeah, the Plymouth Argyle handshake, Sry Bundesliga combination over the summer, that's got to be up there. Sam Down, I asked him for his most Argyle moment of 2025, and he's also said the Luca Ashby Hammond own goal in Austria. Fantastic.
Well, what about to throw one more into the mix? What about, quote, we need an experienced central midfielder, and then what was it like the next day we sign an 18-year-old, 19-year-old on loan?
Yeah, absolutely class. Law McCabe. Yeah. We'll get on to Law McCabe in a very quick Wycombe preview, because I've realised we're well over an hour. So no Sam doesn't actually reduce the time we're on air. So that's a shame. Worst moment of the year? Is it Hardy and Randall being sold for peanuts again? I don't know.
It's
Dan?
bad, but it's the exit game, isn't it? It's that Thursday night in that place, in that weather, and playing like that. It's
And
you know,
they're nasty fans holding up a big sign saying they don't like us. That's not very nice, is it?
despise us apparently, but you know what? Sadly, not as much as I've despised us for much of the year. So yeah, I mean, you get better. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I think what makes it so bad almost is I feel like I'm cycling right back to the start, but it's not as if they're any good either. I mean, they're below this Plymouth Argyle team in the league at the minute. They're so bad in such a bad league, and we've turned up there and been completely outplayed. I think it says a lot about our year that there is even something that may be in contention for worst moment that isn't that performance, because it was that dreadful. I don't think I'm over it yet, and I won't be for a very long time.
Dan?
Northampton home for me. That's when it really came home that we were just a complete shambles. It was an awful performance, a complete capitulation, and very reminiscent of those very dark times when we were getting, no disrespect to Northampton, but not just beaten, but battered by lower league clubs. Like, again, no disrespect to these teams, but the fact that we couldn't even compete with them was, a sign of where we were when we were down the bottom of League Two. And that's what it felt like, stands more than half empty by the end of the game, fans borderline fighting, arguing, and a complete shower on the pitch. I think I'll look back at that one, and that will be for a long time. One of my least favourite Argyle memories.
Yeah. Manager of the year, obviously you can have Nance, Joe Edwards, Miron Muslic, or Tom Cleverley. Adam?
Begrudgingly, it obviously is Muslic. And it reminds me actually of the final 23-24 end of season awards night, where we eventually managed to give it to Nance. But I mean, realistically, who was getting all the points? It was Stephen Schumacher. We were at a situation again of the person I'm giving this award to is someone I actively despise. But the contenders are very, very mixed in that sense. And yeah, playing under him, as much as giving him the job was the wrong decision based on how it turned out, playing under him and the belief of the performances that he actually gave us against some decent sides, it's undeniable that he's a very, very good coach based on what he's done since as well. And that is enough Muslic praise for one evening, because I'm already feeling myself getting sick at the thought of giving any more. But yeah, I think it has to be him.
You also have to be careful with your Manager of the Year awards, don't you, Adam? Because the last time you dished one out was to Birmingham City's Wayne Rooney. And
yeah, my influence has never been greater, and the fact that I nominated Pep Guardiola the year after has fallen on deaf ears for now. But if he's out at City in the summer, who knows?
Whilst you, I don't know if you've got anything to add there, Dan. It was a bit of a satirical question, really.
Not really, because Adam's covered it, and we don't want to give him any more praise, do we?
No, I think mine would still be Kevin Nance-Gill and Joe Edwards collectively for the win over Brentford.
Best post-match celebration for sure. Nance almost stacking it on the pitch at Brentford and doing his fist pump at the fans was I was struggling.
Back when we absolutely adored Michael Bader and Darko JB, and what a day. What a day. We'll live long in the memory. Before I come to you for your random prediction for 2026, I just want a player of the year, Dan. Anyone good enough?
Well, there are various people that you could nominate that were only here for half the time. Tulai, Talavierov, possibly Katic, but I think it was mainly Maxi was the guy, wasn't he? Although he was injured for a while as well, so didn't actually play that many games. Ryan Hardy had a fantastic second half of the season. He might be worth worth a nomination. In terms of someone that has been here the entire time, well, how many are there? Galloway, Mumba, Hazard. That's about it. Cleggy, but he's been injured. It's yeah. So I think by default, then you've just got to give it to someone who's only been here half the time, and therefore, given how good he was in the second half of the season, he was pants first half of the season, but January to May, Ryan Hardy was on it, so I'll go with him.
Yeah, for the record, Sam Dan has also nominated Ryan Hardy. Adam, anyone else?
For the same reasons of having to give it to someone who's only played one half of the year, I'm going to put something in for Zwei Bundesliga striker Mustafa Bundu, who I think was even decent, in the first half of that season, but it's obviously outside of our criteria. Second half of that campaign, he reached levels that I don't think anyone thought was possible. I'd hard to put into words really the impact that he had. And I think actually Whittaker leaving and the fact that, again, I know this isn't in 2025, but the Middlesbrough game where he came in as a replacement when Whittaker was injured, got himself on the score sheet there, it just rocketed him to another level. In 2025, we saw that. And the fact he was putting championship teams to the sword week on week, when we spent the first year he was there with us, usually wondering, or usually understanding why he once played for Newquay, but then also scoring the winner against Leicester City. Mad player, and this year was the year that it finally came together with him. And if we could have kept him, I know it was a very, very tall order. I think he'd be an absolute shoo-in, particularly in League One. But in the lack of other candidates, I think, to be honest, I'd probably put Talai second if we're talking relative to level. But yeah, for what we got overall package and the quality he showed and the opponents he faced, I think Bundu just tops it.
Yeah, I think for me the top three would be I nearly said Mumba then. Mustafa Bundu. That's who I'm looking for. Bundu, Hardy, Talai. Anyway, a random prediction for 2026. I'm going to let Sam go first. He said his prediction is that we're going back to Wembley for the Pizza Cup final. Dan Ellard, random prediction for 2026.
You can if you like.
Yeah, but I won't. I definitely won't be there. Really won't be there. A random prediction for 2026 is that I can't think of anything random enough. Have you got one, Aaron? Either of you got one?
High winds are going to take the roof off one of the stands. There we go. Nothing too major. Do you know what I mean?
I'll tell you what. I've got a random prediction. You know that halftime top bins challenge they do? Someone will come. This is a long shot, but someone will come on and kick the ball, and it will actually go off the ground. It will go above like ankle height. It won't go. It won't go in the top bins, but yeah, it will go above ankle height.
That's a very long shot, Adam.
I don't know how random it is, considering I actually find it quite likely that by the end of the season, Derek Adams will be our manager again. But I suppose if I said that 3 months ago, it would seem completely outlandish. So I guess we can pretend that I had this prediction a while ago, and I'm just going to go with it. It doesn't feel random enough, but we are where we are.
Yeah, I suppose the other one would be like just a former Premier League player turned manager with no actual experience might become our manager after Tom Cleverley. Maybe that. I don't know. Anyway, and an Argyle Life highlight for 2026. Adam, you've already mentioned the TalkSport Cup. I assume it's that, your little run. Did well.
Yeah, it is now. It's just a shame that we couldn't also do a little run when we went to the Whammy, or rather didn't. In that time. I mean, I am going to take that as my highlight of the year, because I know that we've also collectively been award winning, and I'll let somebody else have that one. The TalkSport Cup was pretty mad. It was a lot of fun. 3 weekends in London with the excellent hospitality of John Alsop to keep us going, and a few different activities here and there as well. And yeah, to finish third out of 64, as I will keep maintaining, no third place playoff, but we scored 21 points in our semi-final and the other team scored 6. So I think that says it all. To be bronze medalists for just the first time in that year, before we then get it again. It was a lot of fun to do. Sam's already spoken about it at length. I'm sure I have as well. But just a lot about that. Charlie Baker, the host, was great. The fact that we saw Mike Graham walking out and didn't pull him up on his growing concrete comment is a regret of mine. Just a weird bit of fun that I think perhaps this time last year I couldn't have possibly seen us doing. But I'm really glad we did.
Yeah, there's 2 points I want to make on that. It's the first one I was about to say, to have 21 points, and then I looked at the table and we've actually got 25. And then the other was, I know Don's partner occasionally watches this, so let's thank her for her.
Of course, yes, John and Sarah, I should say. I wasn't aware if such names were in the podcast public domain. So now I know they are. John and Sarah's hospitality for those 3 weekends was top notch.
Well, I didn't name her; I just said partner, but now she's been named. So
it is
will,
now.
She will love that. I can't wait for her to DM me. Dan Ellard, highlight.
It will. I'll let you take the FCAs.
Okay.
Therefore, I'll go with Sam Down. I'll have to be slightly reminded. Was it if we win at Sunderland, I will. Dress up as a French maid or something like that?
Do the pod in drag.
Do the pod in drag. That was it.
Close enough. French maid element was very optional, but hugely encouraged.
Yeah, I don't know why that's come into my mind. That's a bit worrying, isn't it? Yes. So yeah, I'll go with that. And as good as the draw was, unfortunately we couldn't get that 3-2 win in the last minute. So
no, I think my personal highlight is how quickly Graham was excited by the prospect of seeing Sam Down in drag. That has to be up there. But obviously the winner is the night of the FCA. So we've banged on about that enough. But yeah, it's a fantastic achievement for this year, and appreciate all the likes, comments, subscriptions, all of that good stuff, as always. But yeah, that weekend in Leeds, and what a game it was on the way home. Port Vale away. Yeah. I remember that till the day I die. That fantastic 1-0, 1-0 win over Port Vale. Yeah.
I've still got that Vale away chant in my head even now.
Yeah, sensational. Do you want to review Wycombe, or should we just call it a night?
We do well to review it because it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, preview it, whatever. Do you want to do it? Go on, Adam. Give us a quick Wycombe preview.
Yeah, I mean, we've played them too recently, I think, for us to be able to say anything different. I mean, we've played them twice since the start of November, and here they are again. It feels like the 2014-15 playoff campaign all over again. We can't stop playing Wycombe Wanderers. But at least this will be, I mean, it's got to be the last time we play them, at least in any reasonable fixture for the rest of the season. So, yeah, I mean, am I going to be writing another preview for this one? No, because we've already had one for recent time. But I don't think anything that was written in there still doesn't apply. Michael Duff is very much still there. He's getting as much more out of the squad than Dodds ever did, and it'll be a tough game.
Yeah, Dan, we don't need to worry about any little thing, do we?
Well, a little birdie tells me, or 3 little birds actually tell me that maybe we do. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. And if everyone can just keep their phone torches very much turned off for the entirety of the game, that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, off the back of a 4-0 defeat to not Tom Cleverley. What's the other midfielder? Jack Wilshere. Jack Wilshere's Luton Town. 3 defeats in the last 4. They did pick up a 2-1 win over Sir Stephen Schumacher's Bolton Wanderers. So, yeah, they'll get back to winning ways at Home Park on Monday, I reckon. No rules. Who comes in? Law McCabe? Or Weirdo?
Possibly Weirdo. Or like I say, maybe both. Maybe we put them both in.
Just a bit of both.
Bit of both, yeah. But it'll be interesting to see if Talai, because, he ran himself into the ground yesterday. He had to put so much work in, constantly chasing down their keeper, chasing down their defenders. Will he be good for another 90. That's going to be tough. And then we got Stevenage again, another game on Thursday. So that's a lot for him to get through. Aseni obviously will be nice and fresh, but yeah, this is where that, lack of kind of backup target man or complete forward striker is potentially going to be a problem, because Talai will do a hell of a well to get through another 90. We might have to manage his minutes a bit in the next 2 games.
I know we've played them several times recently, Adam, but I did not realise that Fred Onyedinma was back at Wycombe. So that's fun, isn't it?
There you go. Well, it's got to be a good sign if he's not made such an impression in those 2 games that you didn't realise he was there.
Well,
There could be other reasons for you not remembering what's happened at a football match, but that's entirely your prerogative.
Yeah, maybe. That might be that. Do you want to do a score prediction before we go, Adam?
Yeah, 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw. Dan Allard.
I think we'll bounce back and get a point, but I think we 1-1.
Yeah. I was literally going to go for a draw as well. I'll go 2-1 win. Yeah. Nice and positive. End the year on a high against who the hell was the manager? Michael Duff. Michael Duff's Wycombe Wanderers. That's good, isn't it? I'm good at this. Anyway, we'll call that night. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and just subscribe to us on all your major podcast platforms. Really, and like this stream, like it on YouTube. Go follow us on. If you're not watching on YouTube, if you're listening back on an audio platform, go find us on YouTube. That'd be nice. Anyway, cheers, guys.
Cheers.